Thank you. I want to start with a quick description of power and the difference between the people who seek political power, seek to be in control and run the countries, and the rest of us. And I'm going to do it in an American context because I think it's more understandable. If everybody in this room, or 20 or 30 of us, came to any person in this room, and I walked up to you and I gave you a box, a black mechanical box with a big red flashing light and buttons all over it. And we said, we've all thought about this and we trust only you. You are the person we want to hold the box for 4 years. Please hold on to the box, keep the box safe. If you drop the box, if you're in a car accident with the box, if your wife or husband throws the box at you because she's mad, if your child touches the box the wrong way because you didn't keep it safe, the entire world will blow up and everybody will die. Now, most people in this room, and most of the 300 million Americans, would have the same reaction. Thank you for having that kind of faith in me. It's very flattering. But could you please do me a favor? Please take the box and get it far away from me and give it to someone else who will keep it safer, better than me. Every 4 years in the United States and in elections all over the countries around the world, 15 or 16 people come out of the woodwork screaming to the rest of America, "Give me the box." That is what is the difference. It's about the power. And one of the things that's happening right now is the rest of us want a little bit more say about the box. We may not want to hold it, but we want more say, we want transparency, we want more knowledge, and whether that's the economic box, the military box, whatever the box, we want more say, we want more power. And one of the things that's important then is in trying to take some of that power, we need to think how you do that without stepping on the box and blowing up the world and all those other bad things that happen. So we are now entering the age of empowerment. And I want to explain, most people think that the shift, and particularly politicians and corporate leaders, tend to not understand this is not a shift in communications that we're seeing. Certainly it is. Things are moving. We went from radio to TV, and now we're going to the new media, social media. But that is a shift in communications, yes. It's a shift not only in communications, it is the shift in power. The top no longer has the power that it had to communicate, and the bottom, the rest of us, are gaining much more power to communicate, move information, and make a difference. And that the best example of this, it happened one other time in history. It was the printing press. Before the printing press, rich people, powerful people, had to have Greek philosophy, the great thinkers, the Bible, all those books, they were handwritten. And only me, a rich and powerful person, could have it, and no one else could have that information. It was too expensive. They couldn't do it. And then the printing press happens. And all of a sudden, anybody can start to print a pamphlet that starts a revolution. But it was one way. And so now we're at that modern moment when we now all have the ability again. The power has shifted. All of a sudden, back then, the rich and powerful didn't have all the information and all the power anymore. It was out on the street. Things could happen different, and amazing things did start to happen. Now we're in the same thing with radio, television, and TV. So, and the internet. So I'm going to sit down like someone else did, because for the last 40 or 50 years, we've been sitting here while the rich and powerful had control of the box, this box, not the one I talked about before, this box. They had control of that one too. But this box, they used it to tell us what to do. to tell us why their product was great, why it would be good for our hair, why we would look better if we used it, and what they were going to do. And there was no way to talk back. It started with radio, where what they sounded like mattered, TV, what they looked like mattered. But we still had no way to communicate. And if you wanted to say something on that box, you had to either find a bunch of money or do something to get them to come see you, because you didn't have the money. The rest of us, just like before the printing press, didn't have the ability to spread messages and spread change. Now, oh man, it was a lot easier for a 19-year-old to do that. Now, we are in a different, just one simple disruption, really quick. If 5 of your friends text you or on the laptop send you a message that says the new movie, they went to it, 5 of them. They all went over the weekend. It was horrible. And they threw it out, and they don't go. Do not go. It no longer matters how many millions of dollars the studio spends on TV ads and posters telling you it would be the greatest movie you ever saw. You're not going to go. Those 5 friends with a cell phone have more power now than the movie studio. That's what we're witnessing. And what's happening is these Goliaths, the people that have controlled the media, whether it's the politicians or the corporations, they don't understand it's the empowerment age now. And that what the internet is doing is creating armies of Davids, the ability for people to self-organize, to connect with each other, to send messages to each other, and to take on Goliath if they think Goliath isn't listening to them or isn't acting the way they want Goliath to act. The problem is most of us have been trained to build Goliath, to build the biggest party, the biggest corporation. But that's not going to get the job done in a world in which Goliaths are not listening and the army of Davids is forming on the internet or using social media to connect. So you have to ask yourself, in that world, if you're helping a corporation, building a party, or trying just to direct things in the right direction, what are you? How do we operate? Well, we have to be the people that hand out the slingshots, to give people the tools and point at Goliath, the national problem, and engage the people in, here's the slingshots, let's all go get Goliath together. It can be the opposition in a party, it can be the government, it can be a company that's mistreating people, it can be many things. It can be people out of work banding together. But that's what's happening right now. It's about how you start changing your thinking from how we're empowering Goliath to how we're empowering the army by giving them the tools. So the first version of this was the recording industry, Goliath. They decide that you have to buy the entire album to get the one song that doesn't suck on the thing, right? So young people said, no, we're not doing that. We're the recording industry. You're going to do it. We're Goliath. You will do it any way we want. Napster, file sharing. Young people start ripping the files and sending them to each other, sharing music for free. It's illegal. The courts go crazy everywhere. The recording industry goes crazy. One company, Apple, decides we'll be the slingshot company. We'll give people iPods, iTunes, iPhones. The slingshot company is doing great. Goliath, dead. The recording industry's profits are diminishing. The army's doing great. We're all doing great with music today. Much better than we were when they were in control. So Apple's a sign of what happened. And Apple today is now fighting every day to be, it's always the number 1 or number 2 most capitalized company in the world. So, and this is, you just see what's exponentially happening. They're actually selling more songs now in the new system than they were when you had to buy the entire album. So we're now, in a lot of ways, and not just here, but at the Napster moment. Goliaths that aren't listening, either in the government or that the people, or Goliath problems that need to be solved. And it's all breaking down because there's a collapse of trust. The people no longer trust the people with the box. And that is a major problem because the people with the box are not listening. And when that happens, the army of Davids starts to form. And this is a key thing. If if governments don't learn to listen to the Army of David, to use the tools to encourage their ideas and their involvement, then the Army can get sort of go outside the system. By the way, this is what happened in Egypt. In the United States, it took a different course. But here are the things in Greece. Parties have to trust the people before the people are ever going to trust the parties again. They cannot continue to act like, well, we don't trust them. If you only knew, you would understand. No, they have to put their trust in the people. They have to build from the bottom up. The people have to be involved in building the party from the ground up, not taking orders from the top down. That is not, that way, those parties will all die eventually. They're dying now, they just don't know it, unless they change. And parties also have to invest, and this is true of corporations too, have to invest in technology that empowers all Greeks to have a larger role in the campaigns and the politics and the governance of the nation. That is critical, and they need to understand that is what they must do if you're going to solve the country's problems. Lessons learned on the road to empowerment very quickly. In the Dean campaign, just so everybody says it can't happen here, Greeks won't do this. Look, there were only 431 people in the entire United States who supported Howard Dean for President of the United States, the campaign I ran. We did one simple thing. We emailed all 431 of them. We said, look, you're the only one that agrees with us. There's only 431 of us. The country's in the wrong direction. Only through real effort can we change it, and there's only 431 of us. The only thing you should do this week, we don't want your money. Find one person, one family member, one coworker, one friend, and ask them to come back to this site and join. We grew to 1,000. Then we emailed again. We grew to 10,000. We emailed them again. Only one thing, just find one more person, tell them, talk to them, get them to join, get them to understand it's all of us together. We can do this. There's only 10,000 of us, but we can change this country. 159,000 people later, we said, please close your eyes, and if everybody ignores all the rich corporations that are buying our politicians, closes their eyes and sends $25 by pushing this button, we will change American politics forever. Close your eyes and do it. And they did. And that week we broke Bill Clinton's record that he set as president of the United States for raising money, the most money for a presidential candidate. He did it not in his first campaign, in his re-election campaign. We did it as the guy no one had ever heard of, with only 159,000 people in the country with us. Grew to 650,000 people. By the way, we're doing this all because our party, the leaders of our party, thought we were a joke, we were crazy, we were standing up to the war in Iraq when all Republicans and all Democrats and 80% of the party, of the American people were for the war in Iraq. But we got to move. Now, and so the party apparatus moved against us immediately and killed us. So, and I'm going to skip some because I'm running out of time. But so what happens is Barack Obama comes along 4 years later. He's running against the Clintons. The Clintons own the party apparatus. He was president in 92. He's president in 96. She's first lady. Every chairman in the party, locally, in the states, almost all of them are for Clintons. Barack Obama and the other candidates cannot move. He calls a county chairman and says, I want your support. I'm for Clinton. Hang up, right? So what's he do? He goes and uses what we built in the Dean campaign and starts that process and goes from 1 million to 13 million Americans. 3 million of them gave him $500 million. He not only finally took 2 elections, but topples the Democratic establishment, the leaders of it, the Clintons. He later brings them in to keep harmony in the party. And he not only topples them, he becomes president of the United States, the first African American in history to do so, all with power by the people. And then a tragedy, he didn't bring them into government with him. So governance. Good luck, Jonathan. I did the presidential campaign in Nigeria this past election. He became president. We built 650,000 Facebook followers. He is the most followed leader of any country in the world, except for Barack Obama, is the only person who has more followers on Facebook or friends or likes than Good luck, Jonathan. One thing. A young person said on his Facebook page, a citizen of Nigeria said, why don't we have a consulate in San Francisco, California? A lot of Nigerians understand the computer languages that they use there. We're proficient in it. If we had a consulate, we could have economic development ideas, exchange of projects between Silicon Valley and Nigeria. Why don't we have that, Mr. President? 4 days later, good luck, Jonathan, not in a press conference, not in front of cameras, on his Facebook page said, you're right. You're right, and I just ordered my foreign minister to open a consulate in San Francisco, California. Now, what was important about that was not saying yes to the consulate. What was important about the way he did it was 499,999 other people, Nigerians on Facebook who were following him, saw that their president just said yes to some idea from somebody out there who wasn't a minister or anything else, and did it. And the next thing that happened, people all over the country went on Facebook and started saying, Mr. President, I have an idea, I have an idea. He doesn't do all of them, but he reads the campaign, the staff, I mean, not the campaign now, the president, they read them and they find great ideas. You know, the smartest people in the room are not the people in party headquarters, and they're not the people in the White House or in Parliament. There are a lot of brilliant ideas out there. I guess I'm getting the high sign here. So I leave you with this, just this one thought. The biggest lie spoken on stages like this from politicians seeking office to people like you is elect us and we'll solve all your problems. And you know what? We all know it's a lie. They know it's a lie, we know it's a lie, but we go along with it. You know why? Because we like to hear they'll solve all our problems. The truth is, the honest truth is, the power to change Greece rests in your hands, not theirs. You have the power. Use it. Thank you.